Let's talk about creating sustainable and malleable asynchronous information literacy and research learning modules. As many of us has moved to some form of remote work in the past year, we all tried to translate our in-person teaching into the online world. This short talk will offer some tips and techniques for creating sustainable and malleable asynchronous information literacy and research learning modules. Making your videos malleable means that you are creating them with enough flexibility in order to customize them with much less work for other uses. Making the workflow sustainable means you're not having to tend to modules and videos too often, as well as making them reusable. Two big takeaways from today's talk will be pre-planning matters and modularity rules. So let's talk about planning for malleability in individual videos. Writing a script and really thinking about how this script could be used in multiple classes by changing out images or screen captures makes all the difference. For instance, perhaps you are asked to create a video on searching in PsycInfo. Instead of doing a search for a topic that will only apply to a single discipline, say something like medical interventions for opioid addiction, perhaps try a search generally for opioid addiction in young adults. This will allow you to use this video in multiple subjects by just changing out the path from a subject guide or LMS page on PsycInfo, thus making the video look customized without adding a ton of work on your end. In order to do this though, it's important to design your pages consistently in terms of location of links and terminology used, perhaps by reusing the same box for PsycInfo over and over again, or just practicing consistent design. This will really help with the next concept, using descriptive and causal language to describe what's happening on the screen. In other words, try to use descriptive language that illustrates how to do a task rather than just what the elements of the task are. Given that websites change configuration regularly, it's vital for sustainability to try to minimize using language that describes where something is in terms of placement on a screen. This is a major way to increase accessibility. One of the real concrete ways to do this is to describe something like this. Instead of, select the link in the middle of the page to open up a record and scroll down to the center of the new page to see the abstract. Try this less visual version. Select the title of an article to activate the record and read the abstract. Here, there's nothing spatial about the description. Also notice that one could easily switch out whatever article one selected in this particular search for one more pertinent to a different subject. The next concept for planning for malleability is to record the images and screen captures in short segments, or better, in segments that can be easily changed out. For example, instead of recording the entire search process in one single long tape, capture it in smaller portions so that if something changes, or if you want to point out a different article for a search at a later time, it's relatively easy to do so. This allows you to easily correct mistakes without having to redo the entire video. So in this video for a history course, I took one short clip of a previously used course guide off of my Camtasia timeline and replaced it with a clip of a different course guide that has a similar but different content. It looks like I made a totally custom video for this particular course, when in fact, I was able to leverage one basic video in multiple iterations. And finally, when planning for malleability, create individual videos that can be used in multiple modules. Use search terms that apply for multiple classes, or even subjects. Focus on resources that are used in multiple disciplines, ebooks, rather than microfilm. Okay, so now on to sustainability. We already touched on some issues related to sustainability in individual videos, but now let's look at sustainability across the information literacy teaching modules. In this, modularity rules, as it did for individual videos. But in terms of larger modules, the key is still to keep things short, reproducible, and malleable. To begin with, leverage existing library and open resources. There is no need to reinvent the wheel every time you create a teaching module. YouTube has a wealth of great resources, and many libraries have sets of videos that can easily be used in many different contexts. While you might want to customize a video on searching the library catalog for a specific topic for a specific class, ask yourself if the existing video on searching the library catalog will work. This attitude will really help keep the creation of information literacy modules sustainable. The other idea is to create short exercises that can be easily modified or reproduced outright. An example of this is an assignment asking students to find a chapter or other resource in a few broad databases of background resources. Think Oxford handbooks, etc. And then use the bibliography of the found resource to search for another potentially useful resource. So to finish, planning out your sustainability and malleability techniques will pay off big time in terms of creating custom-looking videos and modules without you having to reinvent the wheel every time you do so.